Want to make your stitches pop, like really pop? Today we're going full on 3D. Hi crochet friends, I'm Mo, your crochet companion, and welcome back to Layer and Play, the series where we stack texture like toppings on a yarn sundae. In this episode, we're adding the ultimate finishing touch, raised texture. We're talking post stitches, surface slip stitches, and even stitching right on top of your work. It's all about turning your crochet into a tactile, touchable, totally irresistible piece of art. So you want to know what you're going to learn today? You're going to learn about what post stitches are and how to use them for ridges and depth, front versus back post and which one's the drama queen, how to crochet on top of past rows, surface slip stitching when you want the look of embroidery but with yarny ease, and then finally how to layer textures without your work getting bulky or stiff. So we're actually going to start with the front and back post, but to do this obviously we need to have some kind of a foundation row. So I am going to work with the double crochet foundation row, and for those of you who do not know how to do a foundation row, I do have a couple of videos that cover all the foundation rows you could possibly think of. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So those videos, I originally made one where it was the single crochet, double crochet, I think it was just the single and double crochet foundation rows, and then as I grew, I decided to go ahead and make one for a half double crochet, treble crochet, and I believe a double treble crochet. And for those of you who do not want to be going after several different types of videos, I actually combined those two videos into one master video. Makes it for a little bit easier to find. I can actually add those links into my description. I'll have to remember that I said that. Sometimes I forget. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just going to do the double crochet foundation row. At least that's what I'm going to do. You do not have to do the same thing, because this, like what I've said in other videos, this is your design. You're going to go with however the yarn takes you, the direction that you want to go with your yarn itself. So, all right, so what we're going to do, since we have our double crochet as our foundation row, we're going to chain 2. So instead of going, and this is the front and back post, so instead of going through the traditional placement of your crochet, your traditional placement would be in this spot right here, under those two strands that create that braid look, right? But instead, we're going to go in the actual post itself. So when I talk about post, I talk about this right here. This is your post. To do a front post, what we call the front post, we go from the front to the back and around the post. So we're gonna do a regular double crochet, and I'm gonna insert my hook in there and come around that post from the front to the back. Now we're going to finish out our double crochet just like we would normally. So we're going to do that again. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go from the front to the back around that post. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That completes your double crochet. Now I would assume that by this point you have already got the basics of crochet down, but if you don't, I do have a beginner masterclass, so you can always check that out. That has all the beginner stitches, the single crochet, the slip stitch, the half double crochet, the chain, the double crochet, the I think the double or the treble crochet. I'm not sure if I put a double treble crochet in there. So again, we're going to do that again. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook from front to back around the post itself, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, insert from front to back around the post, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're just going to keep on going like that until we get to the end of the row, and then I'm going to show you the next row, the back post stitch. And this works for any stitch. So you can do this with a single crochet, you can do this with a double crochet, the half double crochet, the treble crochet, the double treble crochet, any of those stitches. Doesn't matter, whichever one you want to do. It still works just the same. And yes, you're going to even get that last one on there. All right, so now I'm going to flip it over so you can see what kind of texture it leaves you. Look at that. That is like the most awesome texture. I absolutely love the way the front post and back post make something look. Now, if you want to create the ridge to be on both sides of your work, then you would continue doing just front post stitch only. So it would oh, is it that way? Yeah, so they would be on both sides. Whereas the back post, if we alternate our front post and our back post, you're going to have a ridge like this on one side only. So now I'm going to show you how to do the back post. So the back post, we're going from the back to the front, still around that actual post, right? So front and back to the front, we're going to pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through the 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And this is just the double crochet. You can do this with the single crochet, you can do this with the treble, all of those stitches. So now from the back to the front, around that post, front to the back, around that post, or excuse me, from the back to the front. Again, the back to the front, around the post. So if you notice that we are actually doing all of our work on the back side, whereas the front post, we were doing all of our work on the front side. Now, if you keep going, you start noticing that ridge, right? And that's what it does. So if you want to create a ridge on one side of your work, you do the alternating the front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, and such, and so forth. Now, if you want a ridge on both sides of your work, you just do one or the other. So front post on all of them or back post on all of them, whichever one you prefer. That's how you create the alternating ridge. And some people do that. Maybe they don't want a ridge on one side of their work. They want the ridge on both sides of your work. Yep. Almost to the end here. One more. Don't forget that last one. That's the one that all beginners forget or miss. There you go. There you have it, the front post and the back post. As you can see, this creates that yummy ribbed texture. Now, as far as who's the drama queen, I would say they both are. It just depends on what kind of drama you want to create. So to create that frame and texture sections, you could always add a post stitch row between two puffs, or say a stripe. You want to create a different texture. So like say maybe you want to do one color with one row, and then the next row you create that rib and you do a totally different color. That's what creates that textile-y look. And this also frames your textures and gives structures. And then you can always try just repeating one post stitch across a whole row for the dramatic vertical ridge, obviously. But you know, you could always do like the puff stitch in between, like do a couple of front posts and then a puff stitch, a front post and a couple puff stitch. That way you have that ridge in between the puff stitches. It just creates a nice dramatic effect. Now I'm going to create a couple more rows of work because our next one we're working on creating a surface slip stitching. So it's kind of like yarny embroidery, but I need a couple rows to show you how to do it. Okay, so I am back. What I did is I made a couple rows of double crochets, and I probably didn't need as many as I thought I would. And then I made a couple more rows of a back post and front post so that it would match what was down here, because this is what's going to take us into what we are going to be doing next. Now, how I did this with front post and back post is also something that you can do when you instead of crocheting in both of the braids, you can do a back, what is it called? So simple. You're going to be crocheting in the back loop only or the front loop only. So what I mean by that is that you're crocheting in just the front loop or the back loop, so you can create that same kind of texture that you want. It's just not going to be quite as big. But what I'm going to be doing in the overlay stitching, it's going to show you how to do that as well. But first we're going to start with our surface slip. Yeah, I know how to say that. That's a tongue tire. Surface slip stitching, or yarn embroidery. So to set yourself up for this, we're actually going to be putting our new color. I'm using a contrasting color, but you don't necessarily have to, but I find that obviously a contrasting color is going to pop more. So you're going to put your contrasting color in the back of your work because we're going to be doing some fun stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it down here, down here. So we're going to pull our, so we're going to go insert our hook from the front, and we're going to grab our yarn from the back, and then I'm going to go across that next one, and you can do this in any kind of way, and then you're going to grab your yarn from the back. Make sure you're grabbing the right yarn, the one that's attached to the ball, and you're going to do a slip stitch on the front. Okay, so we're going to do that again. We're going to go to the front, to the back. We're going to grab the right yarn piece, the one that's still attached to the ball. We're going to scoop that up, pull it through, creating a slip stitch on the front side. From the front to the back, we're going to grab that yarn, pull it to the front, slip stitch. Front to the back, grab that yarn, and slip stitch in the front. Except for I kind of messed that one up. Let's try that again. Slip stitch in the front. So basically we're doing a slip stitch. We're just creating it through the piece of work. So we're going to grab that, pull it through the front. Front to the back, grab our yarn, and slip stitch in the front. Now, you can do this to create an actual design. I'm not going to do that just right now because I think that's a little more complicated. I wanted to keep it simple just for you guys to learn first. So we're going to keep on doing that. Oop. All the way across. And the other thing that you can do, and this is also for the overlay, is that you can use this crochet or this embroidery looking piece as the overlay as well. So there you go. Now we could move it over here and get our work to go back the other way. Get myself all tangled up here. So we're going to just do it the same way, front to the back and slip stitch to the front, front to the back, grab our yarn, slip stitch in the front. Now once you get used to doing this, it's going to be so easy and you're going to be like, oh, this is so cool. Because once I get going, I don't even look at my yarn that's in the back. I just grab it and slip stitch. Grab it and slip stitch. Grab it and slip stitch. So we're going to keep doing that until I get to the end of the row. I just really like doing this because like some of the things that I do, it does require, you know, doing some embroidery, and I prefer to do it this way rather than with a yarn and needle. The operative word, needle. There you go. So now you created a nice little fun design on top of your work there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's finish it off this way. Cut our thread. So with that, you can create an outline shape, you can create wavy lines, you can add contrast thread, obviously, for that effect. It's kind of like doodling, but with our yarn, right? Instead of with a pen and paper or pencil and paper. I really like that. That's kind of fun. Okay, so now we're going to move on to one of my favorite ways to create depth and dimension and fun, and it's often used in freeform. Often used just to create that depth and texture. You see things like with ruffles and things like that where it just pops off the page, right? So we're going to be working in these ridge rows right here, right? Do I remember which side was what? There. Yeah. We're going to do it this way so we can stay within our confines of our actual stitch there. So in this row and in this row, I'm going to use that to create a crab stitch or a reverse single crochet. And then this one, I'm actually going to do something different. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but to create that depth and dimension. So what we're doing in this particular, we're working inside of these loops right here. So, and if you're doing the back loop only, front loop only, then you would be working on the loop that you didn't work in previously. But because it's the front post, back post, we can actually create in both of those and add it into both of those stitches. So first we're going to do the easy way. We're going to join our yarn, obviously. And you'll see that the crab stitch is often used in a lot of these freeform pieces. It's a simple way to create depth and dimension without being overly fussy. So as you can see, I joined my yarn and we're doing a single crochet in reverse. So we're going to insert our hook, grab our yarn over again, and pull through 2 loops. And we're just going to keep doing that in reverse. See, it kind of creates that little lump and bump right there. We're going to do that all the way across. Got to give myself a little extra yarn there. I just absolutely love doing freeform. It just, you know, everything else was, yeah, it was fun. It was great. loved following other people's patterns, but once that freeform, when I learned both freeform and Irish lace, man, it opened up my world and I started creating such fun designs. I did an underwater theme. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I did an underwater themed swimsuit dress, and I did a flower sweater. It's just really a long sweater, and my first piece was actually just a tank top that had red, black, and white colors. And I just did a whole bunch of, as I was learning all the different designs and textures, what I did is I just did a whole bunch of motifs in just those colors, and then put them together in some kind of a design and added it to my work, and did my mesh and to put all the pieces together. Okay, so there you have it. There's your crab stitch. We're going to do the crab stitch again on this row up here. Another crab stitch or a reverse single crochet. Just going to do it in every single stitch across. I think this is such a fun way to create depth and texture. And I was doing the embroidery stitch crochet. I didn't even know what it was called. I just was following a pattern, and it was flowers. Imagine that. I think that's probably one of the most common things that people use that embroidery for, flowers or initials. All right, so now we have 2 rows of the crab stitch. See how it kind of creates a nice textile-y look. It's not quite so flat like it is here. Creates a nice little bump, some texture without being obnoxious. And of course we have all kinds of ends to weave in. Yay, that's just always fun, right? All right, so let's figure out what we're gonna do here. What should we do? I think we're going to create kind of a little bit of a wave, maybe. So in order to do a wave, you can do like a single crochet. So you want it to be, well, not a wave, but a ruffle. That's what I was trying to think of, ruffle. So to do a ruffle, you just want a whole bunch of stitches in one spot. So I'm going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet all in one stitch. And we're going to do that in every single stitch until we get to the end. So it's going to create a little bit of dimension and a little bit of a ruffle. So half double, double, half double, and single again. Oops, forgot the half double. So single, half double, double, half double, and single. And if it's a little too bunchy, so like I'm getting that nice little ruffle effect, but it's kind of a little bunchy, so I could probably condense it a little bit. Maybe do just the half doubles, like one half double, double, and then a single crochet. So that's kind of how sometimes I figure things out. I might go back and make it all the same, but since this is just a practice piece, I might not. Yeah, that's kind of the way you... And the other thing you could do, well, let's try that. We'll just do a single, half double, and a double in one stitch, and that reduces the volume of the ruffle as well. And obviously if you want the ruffle to be bigger, you can do more stitches. Half double, double, single, half double, double, single, half double, double, single, half double, double, and I think I'm gonna just use this last one and then just a single crochet to finish the row off there. You always want to make sure you insert into that very last stitch. Well, maybe. Why won't it let me? There we go. All right, so there you have it. A nice little ruffle. I kind of like the way it was as I was getting to the end, because that way it's giving you ruffle, but not quite so full. As you can see, this is a little too much, whereas this down here is giving you just the right amount of ruffle. That might have been maybe too much, but it gets the point across. So I actually prefer the crab stitch on a lot of different things, but if you are last thing you're doing, or maybe if you're doing something that's in the round, that ruffle is just gonna make it seem so much more interesting. Now I could do the same thing on the other side, but I don't believe I need to show you anything more. We could do a double crochet on the other side just to do it, but that just kind of gives you the idea. You can also do like a popcorn stitch or something other than just a ruffle, but I like the ruffle. It kind of is fun. A little bit of fun for you. All right, so post stitches are the high heels of crochet. Instant lift, total attitude. Surface slip stitching, because sometimes your yarn wants to leave a trail, which is this. And then if you're not sure what to do next, stitch on top of it and call it art, which is what we did. That's what makes it fun and interesting, right? And that's your crash course in layering texture on texture. You've now got the power to build crochet that pops, ridges that ripple, and yarning detail that begs to be touched. Next up, it all comes together. Our final episode will guide you through your first freestyle swatch using all the stitching magic we've explored in the series so far. So if you've missed out on those first ones, I would go back to layer and play the first, second, third, fourth, and get familiar with what we did, because our final episode, we're going to be putting all those things together. It's beginner friendly, permission filled, and totally yours. So like this video if your texture game is leveling up, subscribe so you don't miss the freestyle finale, and turn on your notifications for future moments of brilliance. You see what I did there? Moments of brilliance. Until next time, stay creative, stay fearless, and happy crocheting.